Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee Blog. In this video, I'm like off kilter here. This video we are talking about roasting old coffee, roasting smaller batches than my full size 1 kg and what that affected. And we're putting this coffee on sale. This is from Uganda. We're at the last bit of this Ugandan coffee. This was the Volcano Sultan, if you remember that. Jared's score, SEA score 85 points, so not necessarily a head turner. I sold this coffee originally as a light roast upon Jared's recommendation, but you know what? He also recommended it as a dark medium. I took this to a solid medium, 20%. I'll overlay some of the B-roll from this morning's roast, but we're going to sell this at a discount. We're trying to move this out of here. I don't want to take any more. I don't want to keep any more dead green stock. So when I got to the end of my bag, which is this one right here, 20 kilo bag, right? I'd have like just a smidge left over. I kind of forgot about it. And I would just keep it. But I really don't want to keep any more dead green stock around here. What's the use of that? You should either drink it or sell it at a discount if you don't feel like it's super prime anymore. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We just want to move it as soon as possible. Another reason why is that, with older coffees, and how old is this coffee anyway? Okay, so if we look this up on the website, on Hesea, this is from Uganda, Mount Elgon, Bufumbo Organic Farmers. So from Uganda, very high quality coffee. His score was 85, so again, like I said, it's not a head turner, but a solid coffee, a solid tasting coffee. This was harvested in August of 2021. So with it being September 2023, it's about 2 years old, right? And so you need to look at that date, I think, if that, matters to you in terms of like how fresh is this green. This is a 2-year-old green, basically, okay? It does sit in parchment before shipping, I think. A lot of coffees do that, where they have that little like parchment skin over it to sort of help with the freshness as much as possible. But yeah, it's a 2-year-old coffee. Now, the questions that I wanted to discover and sort of answer within this little roast that that I did this morning was, how does that affect the roasting process with it being still a high elevation coffee, so a dense coffee and a wash coffee? When I first got this coffee, it could take a lot of heat. And you know what? It still could. Okay, so we still started with a high charge temp. The first roast out the gate, because it was the first, I went with 380 charge. I was at full power, no soak. Okay. Now when I was looking back at my notes, I was charging like 390 with a 30-second soak. So I felt like I could like compensate that a little bit just based on my own experience with my personal machine, and do a 380 charge on the first. On the second one, yeah, we saw a little bit of the coffee taking on too much heat, basically, with it being older, and turning around a little bit too fast, right? And hitting green to yellow a little too fast. So I said, okay, cool, let's take it down a notch. Let's go, what did I do? I think I did 375 on my notes. So yeah, the second one was 375. I took it down a notch, but I still was charging at full power, basically, so 100%, 2.5 kPa for me, because I feel that you still need, like, say if you take the charge temperature down because you felt like you need to, like, oh, I need this much gas in the tank, but I still need to travel at a certain speed. So I didn't adjust the power, basically, upon charge. And all these temperatures, I come down to them now. For the most part, I'm getting a little bit more consistency that way versus coming up. I knew that before, but until I put it into practice and like really understood it, I didn't really start to really utilize it. You can still come up to temperature. You can do whatever you want as long as you're consistent, okay? And it makes sense for you. Yeah, for the first roast, we did 380 charge temp. I came down to that temperature. I was at full power. For the second one, we did 375. Came down to it. Still at full power, and I roasted these consistently well. We had a loss of about 14.6% around each. Solid medium, solid development on the beans. No hard edges on the face of the coffee. Nice, round face, round, puffy, large beans actually on the development, and a really nice color. And that is right here. Boop, 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 boop. So I've bagged this, and we're gonna sell that on the website. But really nice coffee. No tipping, no anything. They look really nice. Smells good. I just roasted it, so we're not going to get any crazy fragrance or aroma right now. All I get is cinnamon raisin bread. Okay. So, with the last batch of this, the last bit of the bag, okay, was 730 gram. Okay, so before I would just keep that and be like, well, if I'm not going to roast a full batch because I know I'm not going to get like super accurate readings and it's going to be difficult for me and I'm going to have to make all these sort of like compensations and adjustments, I would just keep it. Now I'm not really too afraid of that anymore. If I really don't want any more dead green in my stores. I'm really trying to clean it up around here, keep it really nice and tidy and not become like a green hoarder. I was definitely a green hoarder. So what changes did I make in particular with this one? Well, I went with an even lower charge temp, took it back another notch, so we did 370 for the charge temp. Still, I'm not adjusting my my power, so I'm still at 2.5, okay? The only other thing that I would adjust is my drum speed. And I don't have to change that before I charge the coffee. In my experience, I'm like, let me listen to it, let me see how it's reacting, then I will change the drum speed. For my friend Deb, who's always asking about drum speed and roasting really small batches on his 3K machine. Yeah, make it faster. So the theory with the drum speed is, okay, because I'm not going to tell you the number, you have to listen for what it's doing in the drum. Okay, so we've got 370, why do I keep saying 370 like I'm dyslexic? 730 grams of coffee rolling around in there, okay? My turning point was 116 to 43.8, so that was good. That was a good call in the charge. Now we're listening for the drum speed, whether or not I need to increase it or decreasing it, okay? So increasing the drum speed, I would use this so that I don't have as much contact with the beans to the drum for a long amount of time, right? So I just said that in a really weird way. So I want to increase the speed if I don't want as much contact, okay? I want to decrease the speed if I want more contact. Less contact, increase it. More contact, decrease it. Make sense? So the sound that we're looking for is a sort of choo-choo train sound. So ch, 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 ch. So if it's ch, 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 that's too slow. If it's ch, 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 that's maybe too fast. Okay? So you're going to have to play with that drum speed. Mine is not like a clicky thing. It's literally like just a free moving wheel. So it's really based on my own intuition, what I'm seeing, you know, the ROR, what I'm seeing what the beans are doing, and I will adjust that drum speed. And that's really the only time I'm touching drum speed is if I'm having a smaller batch in the drum, so they have less contact of the beans to the drum, so I don't, you know, accidentally scorch the coffee, face the coffee. Tipping is another thing. That's sort of tipping kind of comes from within. But yeah, I just don't want to have the beans be in contact with the drum so long. You know, I want to try to help it out, give it a little bit of a help. Okay? So dry end around 3 minutes 35 at 3:09. And then we had first cracked at 6 minutes 18. These all make sense because why? It's a smaller batch. And don't get too like hung up on the numbers and the data, especially if you're roasting a smaller batch on your machine. It will have a different set of norms, of data norms, when you're roasting a smaller batch on this like full capacity machine, because my machine can roast a full capacity of 1 kilo. Some machines like before, like back in the day, you would have to roast only 70% of the maximum capacity because the drum was not as the machine was not as responsive, not as heat responsive, okay? But I have a very responsive, heat responsive machine. So yeah, we can roast full batches over here. So just know that when you decrease your batch size, whatever it is, okay, it could be 630, it could be 830, it could be 500 gram. You just need to make that adjustment, okay? And again, the numbers, they're not going to be what you're used to, because the batch size is smaller. The probes aren't hitting the coffee pool of coffee in the drum the same way, okay? So don't get freaked out about it. You know, just, you know, now you're roasting a little bit more with intuition and experience. We dropped at 941, finishing time 405.3, a loss of 14.9. Yeah, so we hit the target. You know, we're in the pocket of what we want to do for a medium roast of this coffee. We were a little short on the middle phase, right? Where the first cracked at 6 minutes. So we didn't manage to heat the best there. And you can see all my curves. They're not the prettiest. Whatever. I don't care. What we're going to do is we're going to wait for these coffees, these washed coffees, to rest a little bit. I already ground them. Gave them a little sniffy sniff about an hour ago now. So I think we're good to go on a same day cupping. Just to check it out, just to see if there's any weirdness going on. If I taste any defect, then I will make note of that and make some adjustment or whatever it may be, and deem it unsellable. But for the most part, I'm pretty confident that we're going to sell. This is going to be good coffee. I want to move this out of here. It's not even on the menu. We'll give a link out to the email list, and maybe on the Instagrams, to just get this out of here. But yeah, let's go ahead and taste it now. Yeah, so this batch right here, you can't see it, can you? So this batch, this was that 730 gram batch. No, this is batches 1 and 2. This is the 730 gram batch. Okay, cool. So, you know, we should have done this blind, but whatever. Let's see if we can taste the difference, right, of that middle phase being shorter here, with this being in quote-unquote old coffee. And I don't know what we classify as old, straight up, like old, ew, baggy, ew. Or we just say it's older than you'd like, you know, and so you start kind of moving it out of your menu, and you start, you know, looking to purchase different coffees, or replacing this one in terms of flavor and use. All right. Also, another question I wanted to discover in this video was, how much does the tail end of the ROR really matter? You know? As you can see, I will include all of my roast curves below. You know, we get a little squirrely at the end. I don't really care too much about it, just because I know with an older coffee, it's just not going to respond the same way. Now, does that mean I can just be willy-nilly about it? No. So this could just be me not having some bias about the coffee, and being like, okay, let me just not worry about the ROR and just concentrate on what I'm seeing, hearing, feeling, you know, the intuition part of the roast as I'm finishing the coffee, as I'm entering the third phase of the coffee. And then I want to, you know, it's roaster's choice, saying when it's done. When is this coffee done? You know? And so I'm looking at the coffee that I just roasted, comparing it to that in terms of the sight glass and in the trier. And I'm going, okay, is my second batch consistent to my first batch? Is my third batch consistent to the last 2 batches? You know, and just trying to be consistent. I think that's where I think most of my energy and sort of worry should be focused on anyway, and not so much on like hitting the number exactly, right? And I think this is the difference between maybe working in a roastery and maybe being like a home roaster, and like having being a little bit more emotionally attached to your coffee, you know. But who am I to say? It could just be all bias, and like oh, my way is, I don't know, is the best way that works for me, so that you kind of like stay in your little bubble. But yeah, who knows? All right. Let's break the crust. I mean, it still smells like an 85-point coffee. I don't notice any defect or discrepancy, so that's good. So even though I have some sort of roaster bias against this coffee, like saying like, oh, it's old, it's 2 years old, it's not the freshest, you know, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Let these settle a little bit. All right, good. I've kind of forgotten what they are, so let's try to do this as blind as we can. Yeah, I think they're gonna be fine coffees. Here they are. They're bagged already. Like I said, we're gonna have a little sale on them, just because I. Is 2 years old? Like I said, I think I'm having a little bit of roaster bias, a little bit of like, little of that bias going on. There's plenty of coffees that sell and do well, worked into blends and things like that, where you can't tell how old the coffee is. You know, we're not trying to win any awards here. We're just trying to sell good coffee to people that appreciate it, you know, and do it with transparency and honor. That's it, you know, and I do have to remind myself of that, because I will get in my little bubble here and start worrying about data and curves and all kinds of stuff. But a lot of times, fortunately, I'm able to zoom out quick enough to where I don't let it take root in my brain too much, where I'm just like, sell it. Yeah. Somebody will enjoy it, you know. A lot of time I'm really nitpicking myself, I know. Let's pause this for a second, let's come back. Okay, we're back. So while we wait, what are we at? Let's wait till like 8, okay? Let me tell you something. So today we're getting something exciting. We are getting our brand new mugs. Yay! I've been wanting to get new mugs for a while, especially since we rebranded. I had all this merch and like all this packaging on the old branding, and I didn't calculate that well. But it was also during a time where I was just overwhelmed with, like, there were stars in my eyes because of coming out of my accident and like coming out of the fall. I was just like buying everything, doing everything. Now looking back and having like 2 years time to reflect on that time, I'm like, dude, I was being I was very impulsive, but that's fine, you know, money can always be earned. So brand new mugs are coming. They are simple, they are clean, they are the beginning of a big change that's going to happen, I think, visually with the brand. And that's the way that my designer Nathan had envisioned it for us. So when we went through this whole, like, you know, rebranding and everything, if we look at this bag, it's a white logo on a black bag. And we had to do that even though the original logo is black on white. So this, let me show you. This is what it's supposed to be. A sort of scroll-like canvas, old-timey, herald, coat of arms vibe. Okay? Because that's what the original was. A sort of coat of arms sort of vibe. So we have our shield, we have our panthers, we have, you know, this custom font and all this stuff. So we had to roll with white on black because I was like, Nathan, I just bought 500 black bags that are hot stamped as well. We got to roll with this. Can you give me some inverted designs? And so we just dealt with it. You know, I wasn't about to spend a whole new slew again and make up for that mistake. But that's what happens when you're a quick start like me. That's what I was talking about. You know, when you make fast decisions, sometimes you make the wrong decisions. That's okay. It's all learning. And I really did dig this look. You know, I was really emotionally attached to the black bag. But now we're going to roll with, you know, white bags like my buddy here, Josh from Champros. We're doing a white bag. That's coming. A lot of things are going to be revamped to suit what it was originally supposed to be. And yeah, you know, when you're small like this, it's very easy to make branding and visual choices on a whim, you know? I mean, as easy as you can spend money, okay? That's how easy it is. All right, we're at 8 minutes. Let's cup these guys. Okay. Yep. Tastes like an 85-point coffee, so not a head turner. Chocolate, milk chocolate, cloves, cinnamon, those sort of like Cinnabon spices, bready. I don't taste a difference. This seems more muted. This seems a little bit more pungent, sharp, piquant, because of that smaller, that shorter middle phase. Now, could I have tasted that without knowing all that information? I think it would be really hard. It would be really, really hard. So that's great because then I can go, cool. I mean, they're already bagged, but I can confidently sell them. As a roaster, I can confidently say, yes, if you get this batch, if you get this batch, they all taste the same. Cool. I'm happy with that. You know? And tons of people do that. They just don't film it and tell you about it. I think these will get sweeter. These will get sweeter tomorrow. Again, we didn't do our proper rest time and all that stuff. So right now we're tasting a lot of sort of like, to me it's called like, it's dull. It's dull, you know? But what are we expecting from an 85-point coffee? And this is good. When we see 85, SCA score 85, and we're looking to buy a green, right? And we go, okay, what does that mean? You know, like, have I tasted that? And if I taste an 85-point coffee, do I agree? Now, for me anyway, after 3 years or so, looking at that score, roasting it, cupping it, I'd be like, sure. Now I can say, okay, that way I'm here at the cupping table, I'm doing this work, I'm putting time in, I'm associating this flavor, this taste, this sort of like profile with the number that I'm reading on the screen and who I'm buying from, and I go, yeah, that makes sense. And when I see a higher score or a lower score, I can go, okay, yeah, cool. I can use that coffee. I put that in my brain. I go, I use that coffee for this. I use the coffee for this. Oh, this coffee's going to do this. Oh, this coffee's going to excite people. Oh, this coffee, you know, everybody's going to like this coffee. Oh, this coffee, I can take it to dark. This coffee, I can take it to medium. Oh, you know what? I can play with that medium. Oh, you know what? I can take this to light. So all those things are sort of in play when I look at the score on the screen and being a little bit more informed green buyer. Because those are the things that you just, you don't get that in the beginning. You have no idea. You have no idea. Unless you have some mentor telling you. And then, like, having a cup, okay, let's go buy this green, you know. That's the only way you're going to know. But honestly, that just takes time and experience. And mentors too, yeah. Yeah, muted. Even though I was like, ooh, let's make the middle longer. Sometimes when we make it too long, you know, we're speaking sort of we're speaking early here. When we make something go long, you know, sometimes it sort of takes out any sort of excitement in that coffee. Sort of what they call, quote unquote, you baked it. Controversial term. But I feel like psychologically that term sort of makes sense. You baked it. It's baked. It's not like, I don't know. Maybe there's a better term. I don't mind using it. I use all the terms. Yeah, this one definitely has more zing. A smidge. It's so small. You know, that's why I'm like, yeah, they can go both. But I'll drink these for myself. Throw them in the espresso here. Throw them in the cold brew. I'm going to be trying Kyle's nitro cold brew using an espresso machine. It's not nitro cold brew, but it's nitro cold brew texture. I'll be trying that with this coffee. Yeah, so it's freshly roasted, but the green is maybe not as fresh. And so I don't taste any of that crazy bagginess. I think it's still really good. So 2 years, not old. Older, not old. Okay? That's like me, 37 years old, older than 25, but I'm not old. If that's how you could look at it. All right, cool. Long enough here. I'm good. I'm happy with this. I was a little peeved that I recorded all of this on slow-mo and so got no audio. So here we are. We're making a video here. It's all good. Just keep moving. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Look for this coffee being sold on sale, Uganda, on the website and maybe in the stories. See ya. Bye.